Wireless mode. Hello, how are you people? Nice to meet you. My name's Carlos. Need to get to some more cathedrals. I need pets. I got 18. Uh, 59 of them. That's right. 40, 39, 39, 39 more. Let's see here, bros. What we can find to listen to while we're doing this. Helps the time pass as well. Like in boring matches, and what I'm doing right now, to be honest, is a touch bit boring. To not lie. But yeah, Trump's popular. I mean, why wouldn't he be? What's this? Mexican gun cartel gunman fires shots at Border Patrol. Let's try to hear this one, my dudes. I'm kind of intrigued there on that.
Live now from Fox, we do. And welcome back, everyone, here live now from Fox. We do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you from Fox News' Bill Maloogian reporting of a situation happening at the border right now. He is reporting per multiple law enforcement sources within the last hour, Border Patrol agents near Fronton, Texas, were fired upon from Mexico by suspected cartel gunmen as a group of illegal aliens were being brought across the river. I'm told that Border Patrol returned fire. Nobody hit on either side right there. And we are going to continue on with this as Texas DPS tells Bill Maloogian that they are now patrolling the area and has a drone in the air and can see Mexican military assets now staging on the other side of the river there. So again, we are going to be following this story here for you on Live Now from Fox. It is very fluid at this moment, but this comes at a time when big changes are happening at the White House when it comes to border security, and a lot of these measures are taking place pretty much on a daily basis. We're also seeing mass deportations happening really now every day, as just yesterday, more than 900 people were picked up from major cities, from Boston to Los Angeles as well. And we were bringing that to you, just some of the many arrests that were happening yesterday, including an ISIS member that was accused there of crossing the border illegal as well. So again, some major disturbances though happening on the border. There's gunshots reportedly fired at U.S. border.
Well, if they're going to shoot at them, bro, what the fuck to expect? I mean, really, if they're going to take pot shots at them, I guess that's all in dandy, huh? Well,
So language has meaning. When we address Latino voters as Latinx, for instance, because that's the politically correct thing to do. It makes them think that we don't even live on the same planet as they do.
You know, voters told the Democratic Party over and over and over again that their main issues were their pocketbooks, inflation, and immigration. And the closing message of the Democratic Party was democracy and Donald Trump is a bad man.
All right, so by now you probably heard a lot of people's reaction, especially on the Democratic side, about what went wrong. I have yet to find a great explanation of what went wrong from the left until I listened to what this lady had to say on CNN. She is a Democratic strategist. She absolutely gives a brutal take Now, she wasn't the only one on CNN to give that brutal take and tell the real truth, but we're going to start with her first, and then I'm going to show you a couple of other ones, because this is the message that the Democratic Party, they need to accept, or they will continue to lose election after election after election. Let's go ahead and start it off. Watch.
No, I'm going to speak some hard truths to my friends in the Democratic Party. This is not Joe Biden's fault. It's not Kamala Harris's fault. It's not Barack Obama's fault. It is the fault of the Democratic Party in not knowing how to communicate effectively to voters. We are not the party of common sense, which is what the message that voters sent to us. For a number of reasons. We don't know how to speak to voters. When we address Latino, and language has meaning. When we address Latino voters as Latinx, for instance, because that's the politically correct thing to do. It makes them think that we don't even live on the same planet as they do. When we are too afraid to say that, hey, college kids, if you're trashing a campus at Columbia University because you're unhappy about some sort of policy and you're taking over a university, and you're trashing it and preventing other students from learning, that is unacceptable. But we're so worried about alienating one or another cohort in our coalition that we don't know what to say when normal people look at that and say, wait a second, I send my kids to college so they can learn, not so that they can burn buildings and trash lawns, right? And so on and so forth. When we put pronouns after names and say she, her, as opposed to saying, you know what, if I call you by the wrong pronoun, call me out, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. But stop with the virtue signaling and just speak to people like they're normal. There's nothing I'm going to say to Shermichael that I'm not going to say to you, that I'm not going to say to somebody else. I speak the same language to everybody. But that's not what Democrats do. We constantly try to parse out different ways of speaking to different cohorts because our focus groups or our polling shows that so-and-so appeals to such and such. That's not how normal people think. It's not common sense. And we need to start being the party of common sense again. Joe Biden is not responsible for that. Neither is Kamala Harris. It is a problem that Democrats have had for years. I've been banging the drum on this for, I don't know how, probably 10 years, if not longer on this. We need to get back to being the party of common sense, that people look at us and say, we understand you. We appreciate what you say because you speak our language. And until we do that, we should stop blaming other people for our own mistakes.
Okay, so yeah, how do you follow up on that statement? Because that's exactly the message that the Democratic Party needs to swallow, and they need to do it quick, because if not, history will repeat itself. And I was saying this quite often, that how out of touch, disconnected, they don't want to accept reality. They want to live in an alternate reality for some reason, and they hide behind their pronouns, their degrees, their resume, and they don't speak to people like normal people speak. And that's so interesting. And I'm glad that someone had to stand up and say it, and not someone from the conservative side, because we clearly know what it is. It's people who are on the Democrats. Is anybody over there going to tell the truth? And so it's really good to hear that, but will they listen? That's a whole nother thing. Now, she wasn't the only one. Lulu Garcia, who's a contributor for CNN, she also said something along the same lines. Listen.
I'm very happy that everyone's talking here about the information ecosystem. Obviously, it's incredibly important. So is Joe Rogan. But there is two issues here. One is the message, and the other is the messenger. And so, and how those messages are delivered. And so, you know, there is a lot of discussion right now about the ground game and how you reach voters and all these things. And I think that's going to be parsed. But, you know, voters told the Democratic Party over and over and over again that their main issues were their pocketbooks, inflation, and immigration. And that was what they told them. And the closing message of the Democratic Party was democracy.
Problem solved, sir. Torpedo tubes destroyed. The ship is on fire.
to know this, but Amazon actually has a $50 million fund that they have to pay out every single month. And here's how you can get a cut of it. My name is Charlotte Riggleson, and we help everyday people grow their income with this one simple method. And we're pretty darn good at it. Our company, Publishing.com, was named the 19th fastest.
And Donald Trump is a bad man.
Yeah, and of course, the manufactured Project 2025 fear and the abortion issue, which we know women showed up in this election and didn't really take that seriously, or was able to use common sense and say, well, wait a minute, that abortion issue is already at the state level. So if I truly have a problem with it, I got to handle it at the state level at best. I mean, even if that wasn't the case, it's the money in the bank account that actually matters. And of course, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, the Democratic Party, they all acted as if that was not the problem. That's why when you always hear someone go onto the news and say, well, people are struggling financially, what is your message to them? What do they always say? Well, inflation's at an all-time low. The only thing people relate to is when they look at their phone or they use their card, how much money do I have in my bank account? And they refuse to accept that. Now, let's make some room for Scott Jennings, who's on the conservative side, common sense, of course, and his message to the Democratic Party. Watch.
Democratic Party, you're right, it is hard to lose it. Republicans went through this after 2012. And I think about the condition of the Democratic Party. It's been almost fully oriented around Trump for a decade. I mean, look and look at Biden. I mean, his basic campaign promise initially was to rid the country of Trump and Trumpism. And as he leaves office, Trumpism and the MAGA movement is stronger than ever. So not only are you just dealing with the wreckage of having lost an election, you're dealing with the total failure of the project of the current president as he set it out when he got elected in the first place. I think part of the answers that you all are seeking are more than just tactical.
I agree.
So some of it is, what are we? Who are we?
What do we stand for?
What do we stand for? And, you know, I think both parties go through this after these kinds of losses. But when you look at how Biden is leaving, the very thing he vowed to rid us of is now the ascendant political movement in this country. It's got to be a pretty demoralizing thing.
In a stronger position than ever
he's
before.
never been stronger. He's never been more popular, and he's never been in a stronger political position to execute.
Yeah, so he hit home at something that I think we all go through in our own lives, right? Now, before I get into that, if you're getting value from this video, please do us a favor. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support us further, go to the link in the description below. Grab yourself some merch or buy us a cup of coffee. Now, he's touching on the purpose, the mission, right? What is it that you're fighting for, that you're waking up for, right? On the Republican side, a lot of it is just conservative values, right? Our family, our kids, our God, our religion, right? Our freedoms, our ability to make our own decisions and not have the government be involved, like smaller government, lower taxes, right? These are things that we get up in the morning for, and we're not confused about that. Right now, we might, as you have been paying attention to history, the Republicans have not always been the best at selling that vision, but they're very clear on what the vision is. There's a difference. The Democrats, they've been great at selling bullshit, right? But they don't even know what it is anymore, right? They don't even know what they're selling anymore at this point, because part of their party, which is progressiveness, and these just ideologues who just think if we do this, this should solve X and X problem, but in reality, it doesn't. It just makes things worse. I always say, people on the left have great intentions, but it usually ends up with bad outcomes.
And so one thing that I think stands out also, we can't have this conversation, a little bit to your point, Dana, is that maybe it's not so much Democrats' policies or messaging or the words that they use specifically, but there is an entire right-wing media ecosystem that doesn't exist on the left, and it does not exist in the center or mainstream, and people are getting their information in very different ways now. And Donald Trump and Republicans and Elon Musk and Joe Rogan know exactly how to reach Americans where they are, regardless of age and demographic, and that played a big role in this because of the fact of whether it was disinformation, misinformation, or different propaganda that they were feeding to the American public that made them feel the way they did, and the American public felt as though that they were being heard by Donald Trump.
All right, so let's just clear something up.
We're flooding quickly.
When you're watching this video right now, I'm not making you feel the way that you do. You already feel the way that you do. You happen to just be listening to someone who understands the way that you feel. There's a difference in what she was saying and what I just said. So they're still disconnected from the reality. They truly believe, some of these unhinged Democrats believe that it's right-wing propaganda, extremism that is programming people to vote for Trump. No, it is not. It's your guys' lack of ability to communicate effectively. That's number one. Number two, it's the pure gaslighting from the media, who has been proven wrong time and time again on serious issues like the Hunter Biden laptop story. So the media has no more credibility in all this. So don't blame these independent creators or Joe Rogan or people who have an open mind to go seek the truth out for themselves and report on it. Don't blame them. Blame yourselves for thinking you're too good to report the truth because you're so obsessed with Trump.
I think, the question is that we all have to grapple with is, right after it was very clear Donald Trump was the president-elect, he starts tweeting like, you are the new media to all of the folks on X, like CNN, mainstream media is extinct. And this was our plan to ruin. And I think that platforms like X and Facebook and all the social media platforms do help when they're used properly to democratize microphones for people to have a voice. But it is very clear since Elon has taken over that the algorithms are working in a couple of ways that are causing greater division in our community. Scott and I sometimes sit next to each other and he has a totally different feed than I have because we're getting fed things that it thinks we want. Right. And they're very polarizing our feeds. And then we also have people who get lifted up more and they happen to be people who agree with Donald Trump, and people who don't agree with Donald Trump get shadow banned. That's not really the media. That's a platform, and you can do whatever you want, but the influence that it does have, I'm not just talking about Twitter, I'm talking about TikTok, I'm talking about Instagram, I'm talking about Facebook. There's an issue here.
Elon Musk has not banned or shadow banned people at the same degree that Twitter used to do because of the corruption from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris administration. Do we want to go back down that road? Right? How many people were banned off platforms for years, including Donald Trump himself? So we're not even going to give that any energy. So that's number one. Number two, they're more salty that they were not effective at delivering a message to voters in order to get them to trust them. That's really the problem here. And the easiest thing to do is point the finger and blame someone like Elon Musk, who has every right to do what he's doing. They just don't see it that way because they operate from the premise that if you don't agree with us, then you are an extremist, you're a fascist, you're racist, right? You peddle misinformation, right? That's what they go to. They don't ever stop and say, well, I know you believe in that stuff, so let's see if we can find some common ground. That's not them. Yeah, now I will say this about this entire video. At least on CNN, there were multiple people that went on and said the truth. And that's all I really would like to see, is even if they don't agree with the way that I see things, can someone stand up on their side and tell those people the truth? Because I don't think they'll change unless their own people are telling them the truth, because they clearly didn't want to listen to the voters. That's why they're in this position. They're definitely not going to listen to people like me or you, conservatives. Maybe the only people they will listen to is people like them, which is people on the left who are standing up and saying, hey, guys, we got to switch up what we're doing here. We got to start over, right? And I think that would be good for our country, of course, and stand up to that progressive side of the left who clearly is unhinged and deranged. So that is my opinion. What do you guys think about Julie's message? The lady at the very beginning of the video, do you believe what she said was spot on? Give me a couple of reasons in the comment section below on why the Democratic Party has missed out on this election, why it was such a land.
Did you know you can create an endless supply of power using a revolutionary new device that works no matter where you are? It's called the Ultimate Off-Grid Generator.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Perino, along with Judge Janine Pirro, Jessica Tarlov, Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Hey, we've got a treat for you. At any moment, President Trump about to give a speech to House Republicans in Doral, Florida. This is as they try to unify behind his very ambitious second-term agenda. And it's an agenda that's already causing shockwaves across the globe. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro quickly caving on his refusal to accept deportation flights from the United States after President Donald Trump threatened to slap a 25% tariff and other punitive measures. But Democrats are not fans of the Trump for tat. AOC is warning on X, quote, to punish Colombia, Trump is about to make every American pay even more for coffee. Remember, we pay the tariffs, not Colombia. And then The View's Anna Navarro, well, she added her 2 cents with this, saying, most of the flowers imported into the U.S. come from Colombia. Happy Valentine's Day, America. So the media is also freaking out over Trump's tariff tango.
We're going to see this with a lot more countries, the use of tariffs as a, quote, opening bid in negotiations.
You can solve that easily with a phone call. You don't have to go up on Twitter and threaten, 25% tariffs or 50% tariffs or whatever it is. Everything he's doing is creating chaos, and it's making the United States weaker in the world without making us safer.
This type of action is not going to help them with countries like Cuba or Venezuela.
This isn't making us safer, but it is feeding red meat to Donald Trump's base.
Greg, watching this yesterday unfold, the news was over before it really even began. He caved so quickly that the headlines couldn't catch up.
It was beautiful. This reminds me of every criminal on Cops. Once the police officer breaks out the taser, the cocky bravado of the shirtless drunk suddenly turns to, I'm cooperating. It works because no one can call Trump's bluff because there are no bluffs given. To paraphrase on that word. I said this on social media that Hollywood has made a slew of TV shows and movies about presidents, and the presidents are always these touchy-feely things. That's the limit to their imagination. They never imagined this, that in fact, reality has trumped their fiction quite literally. He has shown you that you don't have to accept no or failure as an option. I think for the last 10 years, we have been living under the idea that we just accept the fact that we're in decline, that we can't do anything about it, that no one takes us seriously. And then you have this guy walk in and kick the squatters out. It's a bigger story because he said in his campaign speeches, it doesn't have to be this way. And that is what this is about. It doesn't have to be this way. The threat of cancel culture is gone. There is no more retribution. Now you can return to doing the right thing without the fear of the smear. And of course, you're going to get this thing where, and the Democrats do this all the time. It's the usual trick. They focus on the rare exception. Like, we can't have trans women in women's sports. Oh, but they will kill themselves. No. We need to deport illegals. No, but they're going to go to our grade schools. No. We're going to have the death penalty. But one could be innocent. As adults, we see the right thing to do, and we do not look at these extreme cases as reasons not to do them. That is a child's logic. As for AOC and Anna Navarro, they seem to care more about coffee and flowers than women getting raped. They are where is the pro-women? Anna Navarro thinks she's going to get flowers for Valentine's Day. I think not. But the fact that they are arresting rapists and they are worried. I think women would pay 10 cents more for their coffee if they didn't have to worry about getting raped on the subway, you bozos.
Judge, Joe Biden really sort of just went along with things, right? So what Greg was saying, and we had just had to accept that the China spy balloon was okay. We'll just wait till it crashes into the ocean. Or it was acceptable that Europe was going to put all these demands on our energy companies or on our regulations on us, and we're just going to accept it. Trump threatened the tariffs on Colombia that would wreck the Colombian economy, and we had a fix in 10 minutes.
Yeah, look, America has had the power all along to fix things. And just like that, Donald Trump shows up and proves that we had that power all along. But Biden wouldn't use it because America was not first in Biden's mind. Biden was a globalist. He wanted everything to satisfy his globalist friends, and he rejected America first. Because you have to ask yourself, why did he let illegals into this country? Why did he not vet them? You know, why did he allow them to be exempted from America's civil and criminal laws in sanctuary cities and the civil laws by coming in illegally? He wasn't for America first. He was for America last. All right. And I got to tell you, you know, the reports are that you say within 10 minutes. My understanding is that President Trump was on the golf course and he was between the 8th and the 9th hole. I mean, this is a guy who knows exactly what he's doing, knows exactly how to fix things. And everybody's like, oh, the tariffs are going to be so terrible. No, it's the leverage that the threat of tariffs brings. And by the way, don't be so worried about Colombian coffee. Brazil is the #1 importer of coffee in the United States. And, you know, and this president from Colombia, what an idiot. Yeah. His citizens need to be treated with dignity. And they cannot be flown in on a C-130 or whatever that military plane was. Are you kidding me? You want them on a private, commercial, charter flight? What do you want? They're criminals. They're yours. What does it say about you and your country that you don't want your own people? And what does it say about you, Colombia, that Americans, if we want to come to your country, we have to have a passport. We have to have a visa. But all this is just Looney Tunes. And Donald Trump is about standing up and making us safe. And, you know, AOC, she could care less about money because if she did, she would have let Amazon build in New York in her district. Remember the 25,000 jobs and all that money? She's not into the money. These people are haters. Anything Donald Trump wants to do, oh, it's chaos. No, it isn't. We're getting rid of chaos in America.
And how does that feel, Jessica? Getting rid of chaos? Does it feel good?
I've never felt this good. Totally revived.
But he did show that there's a way to use deterrence is in a peace through strength sort of way, using economic and diplomatic means.
Sure, but I'm not exactly sure what he was accomplishing that's any different from what had already gone on. So according to the ICE statistics, 28,635 Colombians have left our country between 2021 and 2024. I don't see any reason besides a show of force that he wanted to switch to a military plane versus the charters they were already going in. And it's about 3 times more expensive. I think it can be up to $852,000 for a 12-hour flight, which was what it should be about to get it back there. Also concerned about the signal that this sends to the world vis-a-vis our allies. So no one would dispute that Colombia has been a great ally to America. And when South American countries look around, and we should keep in mind, of course, that China is their #2 biggest trading partner. So are we pushing these countries into the arms of our enemies? If they look at how we're treating Panama, Colombia, Mexico, are they going to turn around and say, hey, I'd like to be aligned with you? I see Jesse and Janine are writing. They obviously have something to say.
I would like to write, but I'm holding my, I am not picking up my pen.
No.
I'm drawing.
Because that is really beautiful. Those are like in the doodle books. Anyway, so what I think Trump wants to create with this is a fiction about what was going on under the Biden administration, like they never deported anybody. I woke up one day and I'm the first person to send a Colombian back. Now, I understand President Petro misplayed the hand on it, saying that they have to be returned with dignity. And he did offer his own plane. He said, I'll send the presidential plane to get them. And then online, there were all sorts of rumors that these people were shackled, et cetera. I have no idea the type of conditions within that military plane. But I do know that it's more expensive. I do know that we got out nearly 29,000 Colombians. And I do know that we are saying to our allies that we're going to start needless fights with you. There's nothing that we wanted from them any different than for them to continue accepting planes, which they had been under the Biden administration.
We want them to stop sending criminals, Jessica. Exactly. That's one thing. Listen to who was on the plane. Yep. These are the people that you want
I don't
gin
want
and tonics for in
no.
If you're adopting first class, maybe a hot towel. Okay, because this guy Andres Parra, arrested in San Francisco, convicted of sexual penetration with a foreign object on an unaware victim. Or this guy. He was convicted of extortion, kidnapping, trafficking, manufacturing, and possession of narcotics. Or this guy on the jet, who you want special treatment for.
I don't. I want him to go on the normal plane.
Convicted murderer.
I don't give a damn.
This
what
guy was
plane
a
they go out
convicted
on.
murderer
I
in
know that you
Colombia,
don't.
Jessica.
They don't
He comes to
deserve
this country
anything.
I don't want
illegally.
these people
We're sending
here.
him back, and you want him treated like a VIP?
No, he's.
That's never going to happen, okay? We're not pushing anyone into China's arms.
Okay.
There's a little thing called the Monroe Doctrine. That'll never happen.
Right.
Also, Biden's favorite word, don't. Did that work? No. Trump's favorite word, tariff. It's already working between holes on the golf course. Okay.
I thought it was return to office.
This coffee business, they're like the 29th largest trading partner, the Colombians. All right, so it's a little more expensive Colombian coffee.
I thought you were
I think I'm going to go with French roast today.
luck, everyone.
Maybe some African beans.
Yep.
Maybe some nice Guatemalan beans,
What about
Jessica.
mushroom coffee?
We have options as consumers in this country, so if the price of Colombian coffee goes up, we can choose another coffee.
So that's a good campaign
Do
slogan.
they have another choice?
Use
No.
a French press.
They don't have another choice, Jessica. We're like sending them commercial airliners. We're sending them airplane parts. Imagine a 25% tariff on a commercial airliner. And they already have deals with the military down there that they can't get out of. That would destroy their economy.
Why don't we use catapults? Has anybody brought up the creativity of a good modern
We
catapult?
should ask Elon.
Yes, you put a parachute on the illegal, and you put them in the catapult.
Or airdrop them so you don't have to land the plane.
Exactly.
Does anyone know how gross this sounds?
No,
called a
you know
joke.
what? They are the
This
worst
is why you
of
lost.
the worst. They are the worst of the worst. They are criminals, pedophiles, murderers,
I don't want to keep
deportation
them.
orders. Well, you know what? They don't deserve any kind of first-class
Let's
representation or
squeeze in a
anything
break
else.
before President Trump starts. He is set to take the stage any moment in Florida. Up next, where to start going first as President Trump cranks up the deportation machine in sanctuary cities, but it's got one Hollywood.
Trump about to address the House GOP conference meeting in Doral, Florida. But in the meantime, the party's over for illegals, literally as ICE agents busted a Trende Aragua, who knows, invite-only party in Colorado, locking up nearly 50 people. On Sunday alone, ICE nabbing nearly 1,000 criminal illegals across multiple states, giving the boot to sex offenders and murderers. Yet some folks are missing the point of targeted and criminal. Actress Selena Gomez sobbing at the sight of these bad hombres getting deported, posting and then deleting this video.
Only people are getting attacked. The children. I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything I promise.
We got a few mansions. Open them up.
Yeah.
Gomez explaining her decision to delete her post in a now deleted post that says, apparently it's not okay to show empathy for people. You know, Jesse, you are considered one of the most empathetic people on the planet.
It's true, and that's why I'm not really upset with her.
Oh.
The judge and you are probably just going to lay into her, but that's not me, Greg.
No, not
She's
you at all.
honestly upset. Those were real tears, and she may feel this way. She's misinformed. She doesn't understand it's rapists and killers that are going out first. The worst are first. I like that Trump has quotas for deportations. He denies that they have quotas, but I hope it's true, because without deadlines and targeted numbers, you're not going to accomplish anything in government. Biden had quotas for getting rid of whites in government. He has quotas for getting rid of illegals. That's what DEI was, Jessica. He's like a CEO. He's like, Holman, you got to hit your numbers by the end of the month. Let's go. No bonus. I hate how Biden knew there was a murderous foreign gangbang nightclub in Denver and let him party. Imagine being a gangbanger in Denver where you're sex trafficking, gun trafficking, right out in the open. Imagine how comfortable you have to feel to be on foreign soil and operating like that. After 4 years, you're basically like, yeah, they know we're here and they don't care. Brennan, who keeps arguing with J.D. Vance, for some reason always takes the side of foreigners. whether it's the Ukrainians, whether it's the Chinese, whether it's the Afghans. She just needs to understand this is a country that she lives in. She doesn't live in a foreign country. And it puts it into perspective. Miller was asked this question by one of these weepy reporters who did one of these Selena Gomez deals where she tries to scare you with tears. She said, why are you doing all these ICE raids at schools? And he goes, if we're doing an ICE raid at school, we're protecting the kids at the school. We're taking out a rapist from the cafeteria. That's how we have to look at this.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Jessica, that obese monstrosity known as Pritzker actually said that they had gone to a school when in fact it was Secret Service who were out there trying to protect against a known threat. That must be embarrassing for you personally as a fan of Governor Pritzker.
I called him and I said, JB, I think they're going to the school.
Yeah.
And he was like, on it.
Yes.
That was an unfortunate consequence of people tweeting too fast, obviously, and not waiting for the facts of it, but also that I feel as though it is increasingly hard to tell what's true and not true. And that
Welcome
is a bigger
to the club.
I know, God. It was all a big hoax, huh? Quotas. So Biden was getting out, I think, on average, like 308, 310 a day. Trump is now targeting, I think, 1,200 to 1,500, which is obviously a huge jump. Part of the concern is that there might be some people caught in those roundups who are not non-citizens, that there are people that we...
I absolutely would recommend GoodRx. It's simple, it's easy, it's an app.
GoodRx, it was a lifesaver for me.
Either are U.S. citizens or people who have, been here for. I hear you breathing heavily, Janine. You can go after. So that's something to pay attention to. I saw as well that Trump asked him, well, what should people
Covering the immigration mess. The government didn't care. Mnuchin was at the border every day. They didn't care. And now they care.
They tried to stop the drones that we were using to identify what was going on. First of all, the asylum process. If there's a problem with asylum, call the UN and get them involved. Okay, we are full. Jesse's right. And by the way, I can't stand it. I just can't stand it. You're right. I am breathing heavy right now. The classic left argument is always the same. They may get people who are not illegals. They may get people who are Americans. No, Donald Trump may be Hitler. It's never about the facts. It's always about what they see in their minds, which are all messed up, okay? First of all, every person that I've seen is a single guy, military age, which is exactly what we've been seeing in this country for the last 4 years. I don't see any women and children, and every one of those people has an order of deportation, is a criminal, a pedophile, a murderer, a dirtbag of some type. Now, let's talk about the journalists. Let's talk about Martha Brennan, and let's talk about Margaret Brennan, Martha Raddatz. Martha Raddatz, I can't believe they're rounding up people. Why was she not shocked when people were coming in through the border illegally, unvetted? Children, we didn't even get DNA from the children. We didn't even get pictures of the children. There's no shock that we lost 300,000 children. They're just shocked that we're following the law. And that J.D. Vance has to stand up and say, when she says that people are vetted, no, the guy was involved in material support to ISIS, which means your vetting is either not being done or you're too stupid to figure out whether or not the guy is telling the truth. And that's all I have to say, and I am very calm, but keep doing it.
Dana, Trump is considering sending 90,000 IRS agents to the border. And so should sex traffickers keep the receipts?
No tax on tips.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out. On Selena Gomez and the others, I would check your compassionate privilege.
Oh.
Because they never said anything about Laken Riley.
No.
You had to goad the former president, into actually saying Laken Riley's name or Rachel Morin's name. They couldn't get a call back from the White House. Mm-hmm. They ignored all of that. So where does the compassion for the illegal criminal immigrants end and your compassion for your American citizens begin? That's what I didn't understand about that whole thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing about you mentioned that these raids are not happening in the dead of night and that you get to see them. what was happening in the dead of night in the Biden administration? They were flying people in the dead of night.
Right.
And then putting them all around the country and then lying and saying that they weren't doing it. We would actually have a split screen moment with the former White House press secretary saying the border is closed. Secretary Mayorkas, the border is closed. Split screen, Fox News at the border, everybody coming across. And none of those reporters that we've mentioned so far were ever down there. I used to ask Bill Malusian all the time, anybody else there? Nope, they were all by themselves. The story of a lifetime, and they missed it on purpose. And now they want to try to win a Pulitzer because of it.
They missed many stories, but they sure got a hold of Trump's tweets. Good job, guys. All right, at any moment, President Trump will speak to the House GOP in Doral, Florida? Doral? I don't know. I don't get out much. But coming up, President Trump has just handed Karen her bath.
President Trump's coming out at any second to address House Republican members in Florida. Speaker Johnson's at the mic right now. And this all comes as he delivers another masterclass on holding liberal leaders accountable for their failures. 47 attending a roundtable with local California leaders on the LA wildfires, smacking some common sense into embattled LA Mayor Karen Bass after she dragged her feet on letting residents return to their homes to rebuild. Watch.
We could get people back building as fast as possible, and we're going to continue doing that.
Yeah, the one thing is they are saying they will not be allowed to start for 18 months.
No, that will not be the case.
Okay, I just hope
that
you're
will
right.
not. You can hold me to it.
There's 4 groups said that.
No.
That would be they should be able
that-
to do it. They should be able to start tonight. You have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked,
signed
I mean,
an
you have a
emergency
very powerful
declaration.
emergency power, and
Yes.
you can do everything within 24 hours.
And I believe Donald Trump is about to take the microphone at Doral, speaking to House Republicans.
I want to thank you all and congratulate you. I mean, this is a very big congratulations to our re-elected House Republican majority on your largest popular vote. Did you know that since 1928? That's a long time, Mike, right? That's a long time. But I especially want to thank our outstanding leadership team. Speaker Mike Johnson, we all know so well. He's doing great. Majority Leader Steve Scalise, who's gone through so much, and he looks better today than he did 10 years ago. I don't know what's going. Thank you very much, Steve. You look great. Majority Whip Tom Emmer. Tom, thank you. Great job. And House Conference Chair Lisa McLean. Lisa, thank you very much. Great job. Great job. Thanks as well to all of the incredible House members and staff for your tireless work on behalf of our country, along with Congressional Institute CEO Kelly Strickland. Thank you very much. Thank you. Kelly, thank you very much. So we have Kellyanne Conway. Nobody knows Kellyanne. Does anybody know? Where's Kellyanne? She's around. What? She's so good. She's a good person, too. She's a good person, too. And the mayor of Hialeah, I love this guy because he said, sir, we want to name a major boulevard after you. And he did it. Anybody that names a boulevard after me, I like him a lot.